Welcome to Nerds Amalgamated, a podcast that covers the latest events in science, pop culture, and gaming.
I'm the professor, aspiring game developer, sci-fi aficionado, and completely and undeniably a geek trying to take over the world. I'll be breaking down the news from tech to gaming.
I am the DJ, a humble nerd, a big weeb,
and a watcher from the halls of the multiverse.
Just kidding. Anyways, I'll be breaking down all things comics to movies to anime.
Join us and stay hydrated as we quench you with witty banter, unintentionally hilarious hot takes, and trivia more fun than a night at the pub, courtesy of Nerds Amalgamated.
And welcome to another episode of Nerds Amalgamated. And it's a beautiful, beautiful Saturday right here in our end of town. What do you think, Professor? Beautiful day today?
It's cold, it's rainy, perfect excuse to stay inside and play video games.
Yay! Although the downside would be that, with the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out soon, I don't think people are going to be entertained. Bad segue.
You tried.
Yeah. Anyways, so for our show today, we'll be talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 and how it's being bricked days before its official release, the Science of Joy, and the Marvel editor reflecting on Cap America's Hydra reveal. So, Professor, what is the story of about the Nintendo Switch getting bricked?
Well, some people have managed to get their hands on a Nintendo Switch 2 before it's officially released. And they've plugged it in, got it all charged up, put their game in, and found out it doesn't work at all.
So all that hype they had for getting the Nintendo Switch 2, and all I got was, crap, I can't turn this shit on.
Yeah, the reason they can't turn it on is because you've got to connect it to the internet. And the servers aren't available yet.
Boy, hindsight is really bad for these guys, huh? Or is it foresight?
Well, yeah, it would be foresight, but it's normal to not be able to play a console pre-release with to play console games pre-release, sorry, because they usually require a day one patch.
Yeah.
Usually they'll work, but they spend the last month or so before the game comes out, after they've printed the CDs, just cramming in as many bug fixes as they can to the day one patch.
How did they manage? Sorry, no, you said, and the reason?
Well, the reason they do that is because once you've gone gold and locked in your discs and your cartridges and whatever format you're releasing in, you can't make any changes to that version of the game. But you can make a day one patch that will fix the problems that you find in the last month after you've made the CDs.
Okay. How did they manage to get a Nintendo Switch 2 quickly before everyone else, essentially? Did they what? Did they send a message to Nintendo saying, "Hey, give us a free console, or else we'll make a bad word about your console," or what?
Well, they haven't said how they got their hands on it, but according to the article, the retailing packaging looks like it's from the UAE, so that doesn't really help narrow it down, but I think they probably just got their hands on it because the console came into a store and was released a few days early.
Oh, damn.
It happens with games all the time, and you're not supposed to sell a game before the street date, but people screw up. So I imagine they either work at a store or the store put them out early and they got their hands on one.
That sounds like one of those, like, it fell off a truck and I'm selling it off eBay.
Yeah, well, they probably shouldn't tell us where they got it, because Nintendo will then come down on them like a sack of bricks. They might not ever get a new Nintendo console before launch day, and that would, be hugely detrimental to their sales.
I mean, this news right now, it's also becoming detrimental to their sales. Remember, what was it, a couple of days ago, Nintendo announced that they were going to brick they can brick a Nintendo Switch out of nowhere.
Yeah, so it doesn't just require a day one patch, but they're also threatening to brick Switches on if they detect piracy.
Oh, shit.
Or modding. And they haven't said what that modding includes, but if they go the Apple route, that could include something as simple and as absolutely critical to your experience as a customer as replacing the battery.
Oh, you kidding me?
Yeah, if you replace the battery in an iPhone without going to an Apple store, it will refuse to work correctly. The battery can be completely original. You can take the battery out of a brand new iPhone and put it in another brand new iPhone, and it still won't work. I'm just
Shit.
going to grab a video for the show notes of Hugh Jeffries on YouTube showing that process. So, yeah, the question is what are they doing with the Switch to detect modding? Are they doing something similar? It's all erosion of our ownership of the game console.
Yeah.
We already don't own the games. Now they want to take away the console.
And doing this sort of doing this sort of bricking, you just take away the fun out of and innovating the consoles. Like, you remember the good old days when people would just come up with cool ass ideas with existing consoles? Like
Yeah, you
someone
can
would
take a Wii
hmm,
and cut the PCB down to something about the size of a credit card, and then that's all you need to run the Wii.
yeah. And then there'll be pictures of PlayStation 2 consoles being red with like LED lights or cool console designs and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hardware modding has been a long tradition for consoles.
This journey, like with these news, by the way, do you reckon? I think I did say the console switches will be sales will be affected, but could you see or what do you think Nintendo will be saying right now with all these negative publicity? You reckon they'll try and sweep it under the rug essentially and say no, don't worry about these don't worry about this news. It's all false news. Don't worry about it. We will handle it with a PR campaign and all.
I don't think so. I don't think they have to do anything. I think they're just going to get away with it.
Any idea what did the community say about the whole early breaking of Nintendo Switch 2s?
Well, the circles I'm in aren't happy with it.
Hmm.
The general public, though, doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, I guess. I'm looking at some of the Reddit stuff here, and one person said, "So as of right now, no system works without initial online setup. Xbox Series X won't work unless you finish the initial setup, which requires internet. PS5's disk drive won't work without updating its firmware, and you cannot play retail games without it. And how you're going to download games without internet?" Or verify their purchase, set the new system as primary console. Never mind Steam, that should you install it from a disk doesn't work without an initial login anyways. And now, at least for the first edition of Nintendo Switch 2, consoles also require internet for the initial setup. Granted, in the US, 91% of households are connected to the internet, 94% in the EU, and 97% in Japan, and that doesn't include households without home internet, but phone internet. The online usage rates worldwide is already 68%, and I doubt the remaining 32% are already one might call a target group.
Yeah, they have a point. It's
Hmm.
not going to affect many people because by the time it comes out on release day, the day one patch will be available.
Yeah,
But it will affect us in 10 years.
yeah, yeah.
In 10 years, when Nintendo shuts down the servers, what are we going to do?
Emulation would emulation be a solution?
Not if everyone's too scared to create emulators because they're going to get sued.
Oh yeah, yeah. Knowing Nintendo and how crazy they are, yeah. And another comment says here, it's probably going to be an unpopular take here, but as long as the work is under copyright, the owners of said copyright should be free to charge whatever they want for it. Weasel words about games being available at a quote reasonable cost are just to try and moralize piracy. This isn't food, water, or shelter. You won't die without video games. If you don't think the price they're charging or the terms they put on your license are fair, then don't buy it. Now, the flip side of this is whether copyrights should last for an infinity plus a day, which they should and should not. I'd argue that in addition to shorter copyright terms in general, there should be an obligation to use it or lose it. If you are the IP holder, don't make a copyrighted work available to purchase for a certain period, say 5 to 10 years. It goes into the public domain regardless of how long it would have otherwise remained under copyright protection. And this was this is in response to one the previous comment was, on the one hand, the Switch has a problem with piracy and people stealing games, so I understand Nintendo's push to fight this. On the second hand, it sucks that piracy is wrapped up with emulation, since I firmly believe it's an old product. If an old product is not available to purchase from the provider for a reasonable cost, then emulation is morally fine.
Yeah, so that's a fair argument. We've got ridiculous copyright laws pushed on us by the US, which
Hmm.
were pushed on the US by companies like Disney.
Yeah.
Like, with the way the copyright laws work, Disney and other companies in the US have lobbied to increase the copyright term way beyond what is reasonable. And then the US wraps it up in trade agreements, so the rest of the world has to follow it, or they won't get to trade with the US.
Yeah, it feels like it feels like a blackmail. Well, not really blackmail. It feels like a leverage, you know. Like you do this, or else or else, yeah, you won't trade with us.
Yeah, well, I've seen memes saying that if the US is going to keep being ridiculous about tariffs, then the rest of the world should stop enforcing copyright on American products. I don't think that's the solution either.
Yeah, yeah. This is another one wrote. This is being talked about as if it's some kind of slap to the face to some fans. Who in their right mind expected these to work before the release date?
Well, every other Switch Nintendo console has worked without a day one patch.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
So just because, Microsoft and Sony did it first
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean that we were expecting Nintendo to do it.
Yeah.
There's also people getting mad about the cost of Switch 2 editions of Switch 1 games.
Oh shit. What? Like how much? I was saying.
I think it's only $10 for the update.
So if it's like an old Switch One Mario Kart game, and that goes to a Switch Two, and if it's $10 extra, that's like how much is a Mario Kart game in on Switch One?
Well, the only game that I can remember that is got Switch 2 edition announced. I mean, there are others that have been announced, but the only one that's going to be a day one release is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And that basically boils down to better resolution, better graphics. There's no new content. So it's basically a mini remaster.
Okay.
And that, look, I would rather the remaster be free, but especially since they likely already had done the work to make it nice and pretty and then had to scale it back to release it on the Switch 1.
Yeah.
That's a common thing in game development, that you start off with making your assets more detailed than you need. And the reason for that is you don't know exactly what you're going to have to cut to get in under your RAM budget or your other budgets. So you make things that are more detailed, and then you go and cull the extra details to make it fit in under whatever cap you need to meet.
And plus,
And go on.
you were talking about
Okay.
the cap and stuff. Yep.
Yeah. So there's remasters that happen only a couple of years after release and don't really improve the graphics that much. Both
Hmm.
just upset me a little.
Yeah.
It feels like a money grab. But what really feels like a money grab is the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is a little mini game teaching you how to use the Switch 2 features that weren't on the Switch 1. And that costs money.
Yeah, what the fuck? $10. What the hell? So wait, let me get this straight. So you spend you spend like how much is the Switch 2? Like 120, is it no 100, is it?
You are way under.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But so let's say the Nintendo
It's,
Switch.
I don't know, I haven't actually looked at the price myself, but it is up in the range of 600 to 800 Aussie dollars, if I'm
Oh
remembering correctly.
Yeah. 769. Yeah. On
There we go.
769 Big W. Oh, two different prices. Oh no, one's a bundle and one's a 699 for Big W, 696 on Office Works, and Wow,
Yeah,
Woolies is even selling the Switch 2 with a Mario Kart bundle for $879, and that's a special offer.
that's probably through their marketplace, which is other sellers on Woolworths.com.
Yeah.
So it's everyone's doing that these days, and that's something else that pisses me off. I hate going to a website and searching for a product and getting 50 results for other companies that are selling the product. Like, you can buy gaming stuff from Bunnings now.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was like, "Wait, Bunnings sells PS3s, the PS5s?
Yeah,
I thought they're a hardware store. When did they become a console store? What the hell is going on? Jesus."
yeah, so you get the point on that.
Yeah, but
But the
yeah, that's
welcome tour,
yeah, that's like okay. That's like going to Japan. Oh no, yeah, that's like going to Japan, and then you spend like what thousands and thousands of dollars for the flight and the accommodation. Then if you want to take a tour of Japan, you have to pay an extra $20. I'm like, what the
you've
heck?
never been overseas, have you? Hell,
I
you've never
have.
left your house.
I have been overseas, and I know that and we didn't really have to pay like $10 for the tour guide. But yeah, but that feels like an extra sting to
Yeah, you
spending.
do have to pay for a tour guide.
Yeah.
But what's ridiculous is that something that is integral to the Switch
Hmm.
2 isn't included in the Switch 2 price.
But wait, can you say that again?
It should be part of the price of the Switch 2 that you get a copy of
The world tour.
World Welcome Tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
It shouldn't be a separate purchase, or if
Hmm.
it is, it should be free. Valve did it right with Aperture Desk Job. Aperture Desk Job is a 10-minute game teaching you how to use all the features of the Steam Deck.
I mean, what does it? I mean, what's in this world tour? Like, what are they gonna? What's gonna be in there? Like, Hatsune Miku coming out of the console and going, "Welcome to the Nintendo Switch 2 tour. From this place, we will show you what you should do, what you don't do on the Nintendo Switch 2 console, or something like that."
Well, I've just pulled up the official website for the Switch 2 Welcome Tour,
Yeah.
and it shows you a teardown of the console
Okay.
and calls it an interactive exhibit that offers an inside look at the features and tech that power your gaming experiences.
Wait. Say that again. Say that again.
Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour is an interactive exhibit of sorts that offers an inside look at the features and tech that power your gaming experiences.
So basically, it feels like a tour in the factory, but crazy, but just you gotta look into this console. Look at this capacitor right here. This is a very nice capacitor. Look at this Joy-Con controller right here. This is another cool Joy-Con controller. So I'm going to get a guided tour of my own console.
Yeah, there's more of that. There's uncover lots of insights about the system. Explore basic features like the magnetic connectors that keep the Joy-Con 2 controllers firmly attached, and more advanced tech details that you might not otherwise notice. So it's basically Aperture Desk Job, but themed around an exhibit of a giant Switch 2, and teaches you how to use it.
Okay. Hey, Nintendo, there is already a thing that does all that. You know what they call it? A user manual.
Yeah, and I appreciate not getting a paper manual because they just get lost or thrown out.
Yeah.
But why are you charging money for the user manual?
I'm looking at some of the Reddit posts about this, and it's all right. The 3DS has those 3D AR games you could play with the packed-in AR cards and face raiders. The deluxe Wii U came with Nintendo Land to show off the hardware features, and it had those Zelda and Metroid attractions. Seriously, why charge for this?
Exactly.
And another one wrote, to add to this, the original Nintendo DS included a demo of Metroid Prime Hunters, which demonstrated the 3D capabilities of the handheld touch controls and multiplayer. What? See, the welcome tour should have been done like maybe days or months before the console release. Why do this now? Like, I think that drained out of money.
Well, I'm going to compare them to Valve again, because
Yeah.
as much wrong as Valve does, they did this right. If you wanted to see a teardown of the Steam Deck, pretty much right after launch, you could watch a teardown video on YouTube
Oh yeah.
by iFixit. If you wanted to buy spare parts, you could buy them from iFixit. If you
Hmm.
wanted to repair or mod your Steam Deck, you can do that. You got a free tour of the features of the console, a free user manual, effectively. Nintendo has done none of that. They're charging money for all of those things.
Basically, Nintendo's just going, "Fuck you, give me money. Give me more money, damn it. We want more money."
Yep, that's Nintendo for you.
Now I need science to make me joyful now after all that ranting.
It's called an injection of dopamine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess, but I don't think dopamine's gonna solve this. so apparently some new studies have revealed counterintuitive truths about finding happiness, and
Okay, that's it, guys. Pursuit of happiness over. Everyone go home.
It's written by Ital Vitsan, and he wrote saying, "You know those moments when science confirms what ancient wisdom has been telling us all along. I love it when it happens. Today I want to share some fascinating discoveries about joy that completely transformed my understanding of happiness, and I believe they'll surprise you too." So he came up with this idea by studying and practicing meditation in the Far East, where one of his teachers told him, "Joy isn't found; it's noticed." And he nodded politely, and the student politely nodded, but honestly didn't get it. Years later, as a positive psychology professor, he discovered research that made the simple statement click. And to illustrate further his anecdote, one of his students, Sarah, came to the professor frustrated, saying, "I've done everything right," she said. "Meditation, gratitude, journaling, positive affirmations. Why am I not feeling joyful? What should I be?" What the professor shared with next made her realize her relationship with happiness. And here are some findings. So, number one, the suffering joy connection. The 2024 World Happiness Report revealed something mind blowing. Certain types of suffering increase our capacity for joy by helping us build meaning and resilience. The research found that people who faced and process challenge reported 40% higher levels of life satisfaction than those who avoided difficult experiences. I've seen this with countless clients who initially resist difficult emotions, but later discover they're gateways to deeper joy. It's like emotional muscles, they need resistance to grow stronger. When we learn to sit with discomfort rather than run from it, we develop a more profound capacity for joy.
You know what I'm saying here?
What's
A
that?
market opportunity. Suffering as a service. I will kidnap you and torture you so that when you are released, you feel better about your life.
Wait. There's already a movie about that. You know what they call it?
Wait, that's the plot of Saw, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I was thinking more along the lines of there's a company in the US which might not even be around anymore. They've been run out of town multiple times, called McCanley Manor or something. And they are basically pay us hundreds of dollars for us to torture you.
Oh, you mean McCamey Manor?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh,
Yeah, the idea is that you sign up to this haunted house or whatever they want to call themselves, and then they basically kidnap you, beat you up, torture you, and yeah, it's multiple days worth of torture. And they make out that the liability waiver is that they can do whatever they want to make you quit.
Oh shit.
And yeah, the implications are that no, this isn't a haunted house. It's just people getting their rocks off torturing people and convincing the victims to pay money. It's not
Wait, is it?
like it's not like dominatrix or anything like that. It's like
Oh,
they will break your bones and pull your teeth and
wait, isn't that what boot camp does?
well, boot camp is different because boot camp you can get hurt during boot camp, but you're not supposed to.
Ah, yeah,
Boot
yeah.
camp is supposed to push your limits physically,
Mm.
but you're not in any real danger. This McCamney Manor, you are in real danger. Like people have been hospitalized because
Oh,
of what's going on there.
shit. Oh. So what do you reckon with given all the so given this like and what you just said, you reckon that's an accurate statement in a sense?
That you have to suffer to be truly happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon without the hardship to provide contrast, you're
Hmm.
probably going to be limited in some way as to your happiness. That's an
Yeah.
old philosophical idea that's been around a long time, and I think it's probably true. But I can't say whether it is or not. I've only had one life so far.
I mean, we're not bleeding cats. That's one thing for certain.
Yeah, so I've never had the opportunity to test whether suffering makes you happier, but I'm sure scientists have figured out some perfectly ethical way to do so.
Oh shit! Oh, I can't wait for that day when they find it. Okay. Anyway, so moving on to number two, the money time switch. Here's another unexpected finding from the same report. When income's impact on happiness plateaus after meeting basic needs, how we spend our time become increasingly crucial for joy. But here's the surprising twist. It's not leisure time that matters most. The study found that people who spend time on challenging activities that require full engagement report 31% higher life satisfaction than those who prioritize relaxation. Sometimes we think what we think will make us happy isn't actually what brings us joy. I see this with clients who initially believe more vacation time will solve their happiness deficit, only to discover that meaningful challenge brings more fulfillment. What if the activities that truly light us up aren't the easy ones, but those that demand our full presence and stretch our capabilities? I mean, yeah, sure.
Well, would you be happy working as in the checkouts for the rest of your life, even if you had enough money to not have to worry about money? Is that a satisfying job for you?
See, if I was still working there, yeah, if I was still working there, I would be satisfied. Yeah, if I was still working there, yeah.
You're making it very clear that you no longer work in the checkouts, which means we've narrowed it down, everyone. He doesn't work in the checkouts.
No, I mean I don't work for the company. Dang it! But yeah, even if I won like a $40 million lotto, and like I would have still worked in that company. I would have, but nah.
Okay.
I mean,
What is
I
a
mean,
job you think would be completely unsatisfying then?
oh, a job that would be really unsatisfying. I would say I would say delivery driver would be very
Yep.
unsatisfying. Like all you need to do is just drop. All you need to do is just pick up the food and just deliver it to someone, and then sometimes get cursed at by the people that you're delivering the food to, and then do the whole process again and again and again.
Yeah, I've done Uber delivery for a little while when I needed some extra money between jobs. And yeah, it wouldn't satisfy me long term.
Nah.
But if I had infinite money, and
Yeah.
then I'd probably go and fix computers for charity or something.
Ah, if that actually is a thing, I'll be like, you should do it. You should make it into a YouTube channel at some point.
Like have a GoPro strapped to my head and be like, today we're fixing the receptionist's computer.
That or do those like PC restoration, like to get the old Amigas or get the old
Yeah, that
mic.
would be fun.
Yeah, get the old Amiga. Just make a reality TV show out of it. Restoring the computers, like how they'll restore old cars.
Look at this barn find Amiga. I mean, I have legitimately seen YouTube videos where people have pulled an old computer out of the mud and
Oh
washed it
shit!
off, and it's restored it.
Oh, that would have been awesome to
I
do.
can't remember who I watched though, but
Hmm.
they found a computer that was like had been stored in an attic or something and was covered in dust and bird poo and all sorts of gross stuff.
Oh, that's scary. Anyway, finally moving on. Number three, the meta emotion paradox. Zerwa's 2024 study found something fascinating. Being overly concerned about happiness reduces it. Their research showed that people who actively tracked and pursued happiness reported significantly lower well-being than those who focused on meaning rather than happiness itself. I call this the happiness trap. The more we chase it, the more it eludes us. This reminds me of a client who deleted all her happiness tracking apps and found herself paradoxically much happier. What if joy isn't something to pursue, but something to notice as we engage with what truly matters? When we stop asking, "Am I happy yet?" and instead ask, "What feels meaningful now?" everything shifts. You know what's beautiful about these findings? They bridge between ancient wisdom and modern science, showing us that sometimes the path to joy isn't what we expect. That's what I've created something special for you: the Finding Joy in a Life book. Ah, yeah.
Yeah, of course they're advertising their book.
But what do you reckon of the paradox, though?
Well, yeah, as soon as you start measuring something
Hmm.
it, and make it a target, it stops being a useful metric. So I can see that maxim carrying over to happiness
Yeah.
because you'll start like if it's related to the Cobra effect, where a town in India had too many snakes, so they put out a bounty on snakes. A while later, they realized people were cheating the system by breeding snakes,
Oh shit.
and then they went out and cancelled the bounty. And the snake breeders were like, "Fine, we'll release all our snakes," and they had more snakes than they had to begin with. It's probably an apocryphal story, but yeah, it's a convenient explanation of the effect that I'm thinking of.
I know that I know this is he put his advertisement at the end of it, but overall, like it feels like yeah, I know it's an ad and such, but you reckon it feels like it feels like the report saying, "Hey, rely on old folksy wisdom, guys. Old folksy wisdom will never fail you."
No, rely on the old folk wisdom that has been tested.
Well, what's also interesting is the fact that there is a lot of emphasis on happiness and suffering and mental health in recent years. Ever since COVID has quote unquote ended, like workplaces have now emphasized on mental health being a primary goal for workers to stay in the work field more longer.
Yeah, I like it in theory. In practice, I don't want my work knowing about my mental health. Like, if I'm having some mental health problems,
Hmm.
I don't want the company to know because I don't want them to discriminate against me. And I know it would be illegal for them to do so, but it's very hard to prove that they did.
Hmm. Yeah, but then again, they would notice it really quickly though. If let's say for example, you had a bad day at home. Say if the if something happened at home, like let's say you've got pipe burst in the building and it's flooded the house. And you are absolutely pissed off about it, and you go to work and you're pissed off, and you want to shout at your coworkers, kind of thing, and you people are telling you and your bosses have seen it and go, "Hey, what the hell's going on? Are you okay?" Like, are you okay with that? Like, would that be okay in a sense? Like,
It would depend who I'm talking to.
but that's sort of occupational therapy. I think that's why, like as I said earlier, mental health is becoming a huge issue when it comes to work. That's why a lot of occupational therapists are getting are coming out of the woodwork. Yeah. Also, let's say something, but I lost my train of thought. Much like Cap America and Marvel editors, they didn't know what they were going through when Cap revealed the Hydra allegiance. Yes, I know it's a bad segue.
You should be ashamed.
I know, I know. Anyway, so Marvel Comics executive editor Tom Brevoort recently reflected on the controversial 2016 storyline in which Captain America, Stephen Rogers, was revealed to be a Hydra sleeper agent. Brevoort admitted that
Man, spoilers.
this is a comic book, not the movie.
Again, spoilers.
It's 2016. Come on. So Brevoort admitted that while the creative team had no regrets about the story itself and felt it concluded in the most quote most satisfying way, there was quote perhaps under concerned about the impact that this moment was going to have when it was released. So for those who are curious about the whole Cap Hydra, it was basically Steve Rogers lost the super soldier serum, aging rapidly, and retired, only to be restored to his prime by a sentient cosmic cube, Kobik. Unbeknownst to him, Kobik had been indoctrinated by the Red Skull, rewrote Steve's history, making him a Hydra agent from the start. This culminated in the infamous Hail Hydra moment in Captain America Steve Rogers #1, which shocked fans and sparked widespread outrage. Brevoort acknowledged that Marvel expected controversy, but underestimated its scale and intensity. The backlash was so severe that Brevoort received death threats, leading him to cancel a public appearance for safety reasons. Writer Nick Spencer, who scripted the arc, faced even harsh criticism. Many fans were unwilling to wait for a full story to unfold, not realizing the Hydra twist was the beginning of a planned 18-month narrative that would ultimately restore Captain America's reputation in the Secret Empire crossover event. Brevoort described the story as big and brassy, admitting that it may have been too big at certain points, but ultimately felt the creative team managed to conclude in a satisfying way. He also noted that the artist Jesus Sayers was somewhat overlooked amid the controversy, but was of high quality. All these reflections highlight that while Marvel are aimed to provoke discussion with the Hydra reveal, they did not fully anticipate the depth of the backlash or the personal risks it would bring, underscoring the unpredictable consequences of bold storytelling decisions in comics.
Yeah, this ties into the whole anti-fan thing, where people were so toxic they will send death threats because a character did something they don't like.
Yeah, but then again, like it's like it's like if it's like if the Doctor Who in the Doctor Who universe, if for example the Master decide to rewrite the Doctor's history and says, "Oh, the Master, the Doctor, he was always the Master all along."
You know, that's literally the plot of an episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did that pan out?
Well, the Doctor wins, of course.
I understand that part, but how did it pan out for the fandom? Like, did the fandom just go absolutely crazy? Like, what the hell?
No, the fandom were already pretty upset by the Timeless Child thing. I think this was seen as something fairly tame compared to that.
But yeah, but that being said, though, like the whole the anti-fan thing, because a lot of people look up to Captain America as like this symbol of American ideals, anti-fascism, and him being revealed to be this Hydra agent, which is a organization with Nazi roots. Many people saw it as a betrayal of everything that the character stood for. Like, it just undermined his legacy as a World War II hero, especially the fact that the character was created by Jewish people as well.
Right, so we're not allowed to have any character development. We're not allowed to have any twists. The character has to be completely static and remain the same as they were 70 years ago.
I mean, isn't that the same with the Doctor?
No, the Doctor changes all the bloody time.
Physically, yeah, sure, but character-wise, it's just he's
Character-wise, they change all the bloody time.
Really, he still saves people. He still does all the good deeds. When was the last time you ever saw the Doctor being an actual villain?
You really don't want to go down this path.
Wait, are we talking about? Oh, wait, I'm thinking about. Wait, the only time I'm thinking about is the Pandorica arc.
No,
that's not
even
the one.
The Doctor wasn't a villain, but the most recent was probably during the Jodie Whittaker years, where she did some things that were quite poorly thought out, like the episode where the Master has disguised himself as a Nazi and the master is played by a Indian guy in this episode. Well, a guy of Indian descent. He's brown.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
that.
and the doctor's like, "There, your disguise is gone. Now they will see you as you truly are." And if you know anything about the Nazis, you know that having a brown person being caught by the Nazis as a spy doesn't end well for the brown person.
I was like, oh yeah. I was like, what the hell, guys? Interestingly, I tried to type up the whole event, and someone wrote a Reddit post titling, anyone else kind of disturbed at how 13 treated the master in Spyfall Part 2.
Yep.
And someone wrote so the actor was apparently cast extremely late into production. The script may simply not have been considered the color of the master's skin in that scene. But even if it had been a white actor, the moment feels out of character of Doctor, and way out of character for Whittaker incarnation specifically, and inappropriate at that. It's cruel and vindictive and too real. She's not trapping him in a mirror dimension or dumping him on an asteroid. She's handing him to the really real evil, actual real historical, and it's not played in the moment like it's a big deal at all. It's the exact moment where the era comes completely loses me.
Yeah, then we had just a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah?
The Doctor thinks that 100,000 people, including his companion, have been murdered by a terrorist, and then goes and basically tases this guy multiple times, and was ready to tase him to death until the companion arrived and was like, "Doctor, what the hell are you doing?"
What? Wait, which episode? What's the episode title? I might
The
miss it.
Interstellar Song Contest.
Okay.
So, the Doctor can get quite dark sometimes.
Like the closest thing for me I remember with the Doctor being all dark was remember the Scarecrow story?
Yes, the Family of Blood.
Yeah, and how like the dad was chained up with unbreakable chains, and the mum was sent to a heart of a black hole.
Yeah.
And the daughter was trapped in a mirror for all eternity, and the son was basically a scarecrow.
Yeah, because they wanted to live forever, so the Doctor made sure they would, but they would be tortured forever as well.
Yeah, that was scary.
And that doesn't even get into the whole Time Lord Victorious stuff, where the Doctor basically decided that as the last living Time Lord, no one can tell him what to do.
But anyways, back to the Marvel aspect of it though. So yeah, sure, there was a lot of fan backlash and division, but there narratively was interesting in terms of the Hydra Cap arc led to widespread distrust of Captain America in the Marvel Universe, forcing the real Steve Rogers to work to restore his reputation after the storyline concluded. The event also opened up discussions about the consequences of power manipulation and the fragility of public trust in heroes.
Yeah, well, if you've got that could be a plot line in itself, whether you can actually trust a hero. Because, they've got your best interest at heart, but do they really?
Yeah. And this whole event also taught the Marvel editorial team a fact that creators teaches the creators about the importance of understanding fan attachment to legacy characters and the potential consequences of radical narrative twists.
Again, there's no point in death threatening people because a fictional character did something.
Oh yeah. See, I'm not gonna. See, I don't condone people doing all this like death threat shit. That's if the moment you decide to do that, yeah, you've gone too far. You've fallen off the deep end. You've fallen into the deep end, buddy. I don't want to associate with you. Like, sure, I may have disagreements with like if with a character doing certain decisions. I would disagree with you. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna go like, hey, go to the computer and just go, hey, you creator, if I see you, I will blah blah blah. I'm not gonna do that. That's wildly insane. Don't ever do that.
Yeah, it's like with the Last of Us series.
Hmm.
The actress who plays Abby, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
had to delete all of her social media because there's so much backlash against Abby.
Really? You
Yeah,
mean for the live action one?
yeah.
Fuck.
And from now on, they're basically going to give training to characters they think might be unpopular because there's so many people out there who are just the wrong side of crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Even Bella Ramsey had to delete her social
Yeah,
media as
that's what I'm
well.
thinking of.
That's Ellie.
Oh, right. I haven't played the games or seen the series.
Makes
I just
sense.
know the controversy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, they yeah that yeah when you decide to attack characters when you decide to attack people, like that's not cool. That's not. Anyways, on that note, we shall take a short break and we'll be back with our shout outs and wacky movie. And we'd like to let everyone know that this episode is sponsored by Res, an energy drink crafted from traditional herbs and quality extracts. It relieves fatigue and eye strain, supports eye health, supports mental endurance and stamina to give you hit points in real life. And if you go to the Res website and type in the words nerds at the checkout, you can get a nice discount when purchasing a good can of Res.
Yes, I'm drinking some right now and I'm really enjoying it.
Nice, very
I
nice.
can feel the power coursing through my veins.
So does that mean you turn to He-Man?
Better.
Hey, nice one. So Rez, don't leave home without it. Anyways, on to our shout out. On the 23rd of May 2025, it's the 45th anniversary of The Shining. The Shining. For those who are curious, that was actually. But yeah, The Shining, a 1980 psychological horror film produced and directed by Stanley Kubrick, co-written with novelist Diane Johnson, is based on Stephen King's 1977 novel and stars Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Danny Lloyd, and Scatman Crothers. The film presents the descent into insanity of a recovering alcoholic and aspiring novelist who takes a job as winter caretaker for a haunted mountain resort hotel with his wife and clairvoyant son. Production took place exclusively in England at EMI Elstree Studios, which sets based on real location. Kubrick often worked with a small crew, which allowed him to do many takes, sometimes to the exhaustion of the actors and staff. The then new Steadicam mount was used to shoot several scenes, giving the film an innovative and immersive look and feel. You've seen the movie, right, Professor?
No, I haven't. I've seen other Kubrick movies, but never The Shining.
Scares you too much?
No, I've just never gotten around to it.
Ah,
Like, I'm into horror, but yeah, I just haven't.
fair. Yeah, so the film was released in the US on May 23rd, 1980 by Warner Brothers. There were several versions for theatrical release, each of which was cut shorter than the preceding cut. Around 27 minutes was cut in total. Reactions to the film at the time of its release were mixed. King criticized the film due to its deviations from the novel. The film received two controversial nominations at the first Golden Raspberry Awards in 1981, Worst Director and Worst Actress, the latter of which was rescinded in 2022 due to Kubrick's alleged treatment of Duvall on set. I'll put a pin on that, I'll tell you more about that later, shortly. The film has been critically reappraised and is now often cited as one of the best horror films and one of the greatest films of all time. The film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant in 2018. A sequel titled Doctor Sleep, based on King's 2013 novel of the same name, was adapted to film and released in 2019. Nicholson was Kubrick's first choice in the role of Jack Torrance. The other actors considered include Robert De Niro, who said the film gave him nightmares for a month, Robin Williams, and Harrison Ford, all of whom met with Stephen King's disapproval. Chris Christopherson was Kubrick's backup choice if Nicholson had declined. King had, for his part, disavowed Nicholson because He thought that since his part in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the viewer would tend to consider him an unstable individual from the beginning. For this reason, King preferred Jon Voight, Michael Moriarty, or Martin Sheen for the role, who would more faithfully represent the profile of the ordinary individual who is gradually driven to madness. In any case, from the beginning, the writer was told that the actor for the lead role was not negotiable. Although Nicholson initially suggested Jessica Lange would be the better fit for the role of Wendy, Shelley Duvall knew early that she was one of the cast for the role. Wendy's character in the film differs from the novel, appearing less capable and more vulnerable. Throughout filming, Kubrick pushed Duvall, she said, to the performance out of me that he wanted. Yeah, Kubrick was a crazy director.
Yeah, absolutely horrible person.
Yeah.
Produced some really good art, but absolutely horrible person.
Yeah, for example, Kubrick, known for his compulsiveness and numerous retakes, got the difficult shot of blood pouring from the elevator in only 3 takes. It would be unremarkable if it weren't for the fact that the shot took 9 days to set up. Every time the door opens and the blood poured out, Kubrick would say, "It doesn't look like blood." In the end, the shot took approximately a year to get right. By the way, about Shelley Duvall saying about Kubrick being a horrible director, he said, according to Shelley Duvall, the famous "Here's Johnny" scene took 3 days to film and the use of 60 doors. That's a lot of doors, by
Really?
uh, yeah, it was also a lot of, and she suffered through those takes so badly that she had nervous exhaustion throughout filming, including physical illness and hair loss. The throwing around a tennis ball inside the Overlook Hotel was Jack Nicholson's idea. The script originally specified that Jack is not working. There were many changes to the script during shooting. A scene change was made almost daily that Jack Nicholson claimed he stopped reading it. He would read the new pages that were given to him each day. Nicholson also said that eventually, when presented with a revised scene, he would throw it in the trash, knowing that another was coming anyway. Angelica Houston lived with Jack Nicholson during the time of shooting. She recalled that due to long hours on set and Stanley Kubrick's trademark style of repetitive takes, Nicholson would often return from a day's shooting, walk straight to bed, collapse on it, and would immediately fall asleep. The snowy maze near the conclusion of the movie consists of 900 tons of salt and crushed styrofoam. That's a lot of styrofoam.
And a lot of salt. How
Yeah.
do you even separate those two in the end?
Yeah.
Like, you can reuse the salt, but you can't reuse the styrofoam.
Nope. It's gonna be hard to get rid of those. According to Vivian Kubrick, in her making of Stanley Kubrick's secretary, spent weeks, if not months, typing dozens of pages. All work and no play make Jack a dull boy, for the scene where Wendy discovers those pages that Jack has been typing. Yeah, you were telling me about this, didn't you, Professor, at one point?
Yeah, I've definitely spoken about it before.
Yeah, I was like, no way, that's not true. And I really like, oh my god, it was true. Jack Nicholson claims that the scene where Jack snaps at Wendy for interrupting his writings was the most difficult for him, as he was a writer himself and had gotten into similar arguments with his girlfriend. Being a method actor, he drew on his memories of those arguments and added the line, "Or if you come in here and you don't hear me typing, if I'm in here, that means I'm working." Despite Stanley Kubrick's fierce demands of everyone, Jack Nicholson admitted to having a good working relationship with him. It was with Shelley Duvall that he was completely different director. He allegedly picked on her more than anyone else, as seen in the documentaries Making The Shining and Stanley Kubrick: A Life in Pictures. He would really lose his temper with her, even going so far to say that she was wasting the time of everyone on the set. She later reflected that he was probably pushing her to her limits to get the best out of her, and that she wouldn't trade the experience for anything. But it wasn't not something she ever wished to repeat. By the way, the kid in the movie, that was his first acting job, and the director was very was very protective of the child. And during the shooting of the film, the child was under the impression that the film he was making was a drama, not a horror movie. In fact, when Wendy carries Danny away while shouting at Jack in the Colorado lounge, she's actually carrying a life-size dummy so that Lloyd would not have to be in the scene. He only realized the truth 7 years later when he was shown a heavily edited version of the film. He did not see the uncut version of the film until he was 17, 11 years after he had made it. Man, that's terrifying. Now I want to watch that movie again now. On the 27th of May 1985, amputee Steve Fonyo completes cross-Canada marathon at Victoria, British Columbia after 14 weeks. So in 1984, at age 18, he embarked on a run across Canada entitled Journey for Lives to raise funds for cancer. The Canadian Cancer Society were wary of any attempts that might taint the image of them or Fox's legacy in their rejection of Fonyo. Regardless, on March 31st, he began his journey in St. John's, Newfoundland. In doing so, he followed in the footsteps of Terry Fox. Fonyo began his run on March 31st, 1984, and completed 425 days later on May 29, 1985, covering 7,924 kilometers, which is 4,912 miles, and raised $14 million. How much would that be now?
A lot.
Yep. Unlike Fox, who had to abandon the Marathon of Hope, when his cancer returned, Fonyo completed the coast-to-coast run. He also completed a run across the United Kingdom. He was named a member of the Order of Canada in 1985, the youngest person ever given that status at the time. This achievement was marred by grief as his father, Steve Fonyo Sr., died of lung cancer the next year. 27th of May 1999, Space Shuttle Discovery completes the first docking with the International Space Station. The shuttle carried the Space Hub module and the payload filled with cargo for station outfitting. STS-99 launched from Kennedy Space Center, Florida on 27th of May 1999 at 06:49:42 a.m. EDT and returned to Kennedy at the 6th of June 1999 at 2:02:43 a.m. EDT. This was a logistics and resupply mission, and this was the 13th space HAB overall. The Space Shuttle Discovery carried the ISS, an integral cargo carrier, with parts for the Russian cargo crane Strela, which was mounted to the exterior of the Russian station segment. Furthermore, the ICC carried the Space HAB Oceaneering Space Station System box and the Oru Transfer System, a US-built crane. A copy of Blizzard's StarCraft real-life strategy game was also flown aboard STS-96. It resides at Blizzard's headquarters in Irvine, California. NASA began a tradition of playing music to astronauts during the Gemini program, which was first used to wake up the flight crew during Apollo 15. Each track is specially chosen, often by their families, and usually has a special meaning to an individual of the crew, or is applicable to their daily activities. And you want to know then what days? You want to know what songs they played, Professor?
Well, you're gonna tell me anyway.
Yeah. So day 2, it was California Dreamin' by Mamas and the Papas. Day 3, it was Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. Day 4, it was the theme from Star Wars by the Space Center Intermediate Band. Day 5, it was Morning Colors by the US Coast Guard Band. Day 6, Amarillo by Morning by George Strait. Day 7, Exult Jubilant by Mozart. And day 9, Free Bird by Leonard Skinner. Can you imagine waking up to these songs? Anyways, Professor, what have you got for us in our messed up moments in nerddom this week?
What do you know about bioweapons?
They're highly unpredictable. They kill a lot of people, and yeah, they're made in labs. That's all I know.
All right. Well, in 1950, the U.S. Navy sprayed Serratia marcescens and Bacillus globigi. Yes, that sounds silly. over San Francisco to determine how vulnerable the city would be to a bioweapon attack.
No. 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 Are you kidding me? How potent were they?
Well, they weren't directly harmful to humans, or at least not hugely harmful. There's speculation, but no clear link that one person died and there were 10 people who got sick because of them.
Oh, damn.
But the experiment ran for a week in September 1950, and based on the results, they determined that nearly all of the city's residents would have inhaled enough particles of bacteria to be infected if it had been anthrax.
Oh, you know what this reminds me of? Have you ever seen that movie Outbreak?
Is that the one with Matt Damon?
No, it's the one with Dustin Hoffman.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
It's the one about a monkey that carries a lethal virus, and it just destroys a town. Oh man, what were the effects that the people were suffering?
Urinary tract infections.
Oh, that's painful.
Yeah.
Very, very
And the link is that there was an unusual infection, but it doesn't appear to be directly linked to the bioweapon testing because all 11 victims had previous medical procedures. So it's more likely that the infection came from hospital.
So were they all immunocompromised?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And the cases of pneumonia spiked after they released Serratia marcescens.
Was there any like heads up in a sense that, hey guys, we're gonna be doing this experiment on you guys. Heads up.
No, there wasn't.
You kidding me?
Yep.
Oh,
And then in the 70s, the US and UK did the same experiment over Dorset.
Again, what?
Yep. And there's a whole list in the Wikipedia article for Operation Sea Spray of different times that the US has tested biological weapons against Americans.
That's so messed up, man. This also reminds me of V for Vendetta, the movie where bioweapon was used and against its own people. Oh, that's nuts.
Yeah, but that was an intentional false flag, wasn't it?
I don't think so. Hang on a second. I don't think so. No, I could be wrong, but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
yeah.
But you might have seen Serratia marcescens because it's commonly found growing in bathrooms where it grows as a pink mold. Yeah. So you'll see a pink stain on the sink or in the grout.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's S. marcescens.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Where it's found. Yeah. It's found in respiratory or urinary tracts of hospitalized adults and in the gastrointestinal system of children. Yeah.
So, imagine if they'd accidentally gotten the wrong kind of bacteria or if it mutated or anything that could have gone wrong with this experiment.
See, that's why bioweapons are so unpredictable because you don't because anyone like even when they're not the enemy, they can get killed from this.
Yeah.
Was there any like what did the government say after doing this operation? Did they say anything like hey guys, so why the hell did this go wrong?
Not that I'm aware of. They did a investigation, but it was more into whether it had killed anyone.
Yeah. Alright, and on that note, we should move to our wacky movie. On the 29th of May 1956. Before I go to any before I go further with wacky movie, we also have a breaking shout out. You ever remember that show MASH, Professor?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, apparently MASH actor Loretta Swift has passed away at the age of 87. She's
It's
best
just
known
Swit,
Swit.
not
Ah, right.
Swift.
Loretta Swit died at the age of 87. She's best known for her role as Hot Lips Houlihan. Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan. That's the name. Yeah, she apparently died at a New York City home on Friday, likely from natural causes, according to a publicist. Swit appeared in all but 11 episodes of the series, nearly 4 times longer than the Korean War itself, exploring issues like PTSD, sexism, and racism. For those who are curious, who's Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, she's the demanding head nurse of a behind-the-lines surgical unit during the Korean War in the series MASH. Loretta and Loretta Swit and Alan Alda were the longest-serving cast members of the CBS show, which was based on Robert Altman's 1970 film. She was born in New Jersey, the daughter of Polish immigrants. Swit enrolled in the American Arts Academy of Dramatic Arts that paid her dues for years in touring productions. In 1969, she arrived in Hollywood and was soon seen in series such as Gunsmoke, Hawaii Five-0, Mission Impossible, and Bonanza. Then in 1972, she got her big break when she was asked to audition for the role of Hot Lips. So Houlihan's transformation was described by Swit as, around the second or third year, I decided to try to play her as a real person in an intelligent fashion, even if it meant hurting the jokes. National Comedy Center executive Johnny Gunderson says Swit's talent extended well beyond the iconic character, with acclaimed work on both stage and screen that showcased her intelligence, versatility, and passion. Loretta Swit's portrayal of Hot Lips was groundbreaking, bringing heart, humor, and strength to one of the television comedy's most enduring roles. Yeah, what a great actress she is.
Yeah, MASH was such a good show.
I know. Have you seen have you seen Aftermash?
No, I haven't. What's that?
It's a spin-off show of MASH, and it's basically talks about Sherman Potter's life after MASH, and he becomes a VA surgeon in a hospital. Yeah, and you see a couple of old characters there here and there, like Klinger and Radar.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lost in media thing, so yeah, good luck finding it.
Oh, bugger.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, on to our wacky movie. On the 29th of May 1956, Tarantula premiered in Italy. This movie was directed by Jack Arnold, starring John Agar and Mara Corriday. And here's the plot summary. A spider escapes from an isolated Arizona desert laboratory, experimenting in gigantism, and grows to tremendous size as it wreaks havoc on the local inhabitants. Why does that remind me of Honey, I Blew Up the Kid?
Well, making giant bugs is an old tradition from Hollywood.
The screenplay by Robert M. Fresco and Martin Berkeley was based on the story by Arnold, which was in turn inspired by Fresno's teleplay for the 1955 science fiction theater episode No Food for Thought, also directed by Arnold. The film was distributed by Universal Pictures as a Universal International release and reissued in 1962 through Sherman S. Krellberg's Ultra Picture. This was the second uncredited theatrical movie of Clint Eastwood, his first being Revenge of the Creature. Tarantula takes place in the fictional town of Desert Rock, Arizona. Although it was set in Arizona, Tarantula was filmed entirely in California, with the desert scenes being shot in Apple Valley. Additional footage was shot in and around the rock formations of Dead Man's Plot in Lucerne Valley, California, a frequently used location for many early Western films. The film's theatrical release featured a spider with 2 eyes instead of a normal 8, and carrying a woman in its fangs. Does not represent any scene in the final film. The tarantula was an actual spider. Air jets were used to make it move in the desired way over a miniature landscape. Mara Corriday was the female lead in this movie, with Clint Eastwood appearing briefly at the end as the jet squadron leader. In her last 4 movies, Clint Eastwood was the star, and she had small brief roles. The jets set to kill the tarantula are Lockheed P-80 F-80 Shooting Star aircraft, the first operational jet fighters used by the Air Force. They saw very limited service in World War II, but were used extensively in the Korean War. So, on that note,
hold on, one more thing. Didn't you say the spider was a returning actor from another film?
Oh yeah. The spider was Spider also appeared in The Incredible Shrinking Man as the spider threatening the Shrinking Man as well. But yeah, it's hang on a sec. And also another thing, like them, the tarantula makes atmospherical use of the desert locations. While a radioactive isotope does make an appearance, it differs from most 1950 big bug features in having the mutation caused by the peaceful research of well-intentioned scientists rather than by nuclear weapons or a mad genius. There we go. Anyways, are we streaming on tomorrow, Professor?
Well, by the time this episode comes out, it'll be too late for us to tell them that we're streaming tomorrow.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Anyways,
Check
but
out our Twitch channel where we stream every Sunday Australian time,
at 10 a.m. or 11
11
a.m.
a.m.
Right, 11 a.m. Also check out Res and their lovely energy drink. Just type nerds at the checkout and you'll get a cool discount after during your purchase of Res. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and other social media. Anyway, stay happy, stay nerdy. See you guys.
Look after yourself, stay hydrated, and we'll see you next week.